This is the 2023 Tesla Model X, and today I'm going over whether or not you should buy one by giving you 7 likes and 3 dislikes. Hey everybody, welcome to Cars Jubilee. My name is Victor and I own an Ioniq 5, a GV60, and a 2023 Tesla Model Y long range. And like many of you, I want to know if I should consider upgrading to a Model X, now that it's suddenly become much more affordable. Now, if you are planning to buy a Tesla, be sure to use referral code to get $500 off and a 3-month free trial to full self-driving. Here's our referral code if you'd like to use it. Now let's start with some dislikes.
The cabin noise, the interior noise, and this surprised me. This is louder than my Tesla Model Y. There's more wind noise, there's more road noise, there's more of kind of everything. And I didn't expect that. I expected this to be quieter than my Model Y, but that just has not been the case. I'm going about 65, 70 right now, and it feels much louder than my Model Y. We just hit a quieter stretch of road, of highway. This is newly paved, but yeah, in my Model Y, it would be whisper quiet. No wind noise at all. This one, I hear the wind noise, and yeah, I think for a $100,000 car, I would have a problem with the amount of wind noise I'm getting and road noise I'm getting. But as a $72,000, $73,000 car, at that point now I'm starting to be like, I might be able to compromise some of those things to get this level of a vehicle.
So unfortunately, my wireless mic didn't do so well. It's a newer mic that I had to use because the Model X is just kind of loud inside. So a lot of this is being filmed after the fact in my Model Y. So the reason I decided to do the Model X interior noise first is because of what I've seen. I've seen a lot of other content creators go out there and do demo drives, and across the board, everyone else is saying that the Model X is quieter inside than the Model Y. But that has not been my experience. And I think one of the things that's happening is maybe these Model Y owners are comparing older Model Ys to the newest refresh Model X. Whereas I have the newest Model Y, the 2023 version, which has dual pane glass, which has more carpeting inside, which also has the comfort suspension. In general, this 2023 model year Y is the quietest Model Y ever. So my opinion is that the 2023 Tesla Model Y, which I own, is quieter inside than a Tesla Model X. And so if you're planning to do a Model X demo drive, I highly recommend that you take it out onto the highway, get it up to 70 miles per hour, and have a listen yourself. Personally, I heard a lot of wind noise coming over, a lot of road noise coming up, and to me, it just is not that quiet of a car. And in general, I think for a $70,000, $80,000 car, it's probably going to be the loudest $70,000, $80,000 car you'll come across. Alright, the next dislike can actually also be seen as a like. Kind of depends on how you're looking at it. And that has to do with the Model X range. For me, going into this, I was hoping that the Model X with the bigger battery would ultimately mean more range, that I could go further on a charge. But based on a range test loop that I've done with every EV that I've ever had, it just didn't quite work out that way. With the Model X, the extrapolated range would be about 310 miles on a full charge, which is good. But my Model Y, long range with the 19-inch wheels, would get 320 miles of range on a full charge. So it's not a big difference, but when you're paying more for a bigger battery and hoping for more range and you don't get it, well, then it's kind of a dislike. Now, if we remove the Model Y from this equation completely and just look at the Model X for what it is, it's actually really, really good. Most 5-seater EVs, meaning that they're smaller than the Model X, they struggle to get 240, 250, even 260 miles of highway range doing 70 miles per hour. But the Model X was able to achieve 310 miles of highway range doing 70 miles an hour, which is phenomenal. And then you remember, oh wait, this thing can seat up to 7. The only other EV on the market right now that can do 300 miles of range, and seat 7 is the Rivian R1S, and you have to option out the bigger battery pack. All these other EVs, to get even close to 300 miles of range, you're looking at a rear-wheel drive model and something much smaller. And so if you look at the Model X for what it is, range-wise, it's really good. Just unfortunately for me, not quite as good as my Tesla Model Y. This last and final dislike has to do with the doors. And we had a major issue with the Falcon wing doors. They look cool, they look amazing, but I couldn't get them to open in my garage. Now they work just fine out on the driveway, they work just fine out in parking lots, but as soon as I got it into my garage, those Falcon doors would not open. Even if I hit the override button, they would not open. That has to do with the fact that my garage is only 6 feet 10 inches tall. And if I factor in the motor, all of a sudden I only have 6 feet 2 inches. And so essentially my ceiling height is just too low for the doors to open. And that really puts a damper on the prospects of owning a Tesla Model X if I can't get my kids in or out of the car while in the garage. That's actually something I realized could be a problem not just at home, because living in Philly, living in the city, a lot of the places that we have to go have parking structures. For example, the Children's Hospital, or maybe Whole Foods downtown. Or maybe we're going to a hotel somewhere in another city where we have to park in a parking structure. If we run into any garage structure with a ceiling height less than 7 feet, we might be in trouble because you might not be able to get the kids out of the car. Alright, so those were the dislikes. Now how about we move on to the likes? And there are a lot of them.
The very first thing I have to mention is just the view out of the driver's seat. I mean, wow, it's one of those things where you have to try it yourself to really understand. So I'll try my best to convey what I see and feel. It feels like you're in a fishbowl, or it feels like you're in one of those mini submarines, because there's just so much glass here. This view from the driver's seat is so unique. And I feel like sitting while stationary versus sitting while driving on the road are two completely different experiences that you really need to do yourself. As soon as I was actually driving, I was just speechless. I felt like a fish that had just been dropped into a fishbowl. Like, whoa, where am I? I can see everything. Such a unique and just amazing experience. And actually, I was sold right then and there. Just sitting in that seat like, yes, I want a Model X. I don't need any more convincing. I want it now. But then it got even better. Now, in terms of road comfort or the ride quality, this is better than my Model Y. This has air suspension. It has things that you can adjust in the suspension tab. Right now I have everything kind of in the middle. You do feel everything a little less. So if you want a more comfortable ride, this one definitely has a more comfortable ride over the Model Y. You know, going over bumps, expansion joints, it's not quite as jarring. You still feel it, but it's softer than in the Y.
One major complaint about Teslas is the ride quality being too hard, too firm, too harsh. Well, the Model X, which comes standard with air suspension, kind of negates all that. It's a much more comfortable ride. It definitely doesn't glide over bumps like maybe a Genesis G80 would, or maybe an S-Class Mercedes, but in general, you just feel a lot less than you would in a Model 3 or a Model Y. And I actually wish I could get this same air suspension in my Model Y.
One major difference between this and the Model Y that I wanted to mention is actually the feel of the accelerator pedal. This thing is much softer, much lighter. One complaint that I personally have about my Model Y is that when I'm driving, let's say you want to make small adjustments like move your car up just a couple inches. Well, the pedal feel is so stiff, it's so heavy that it's hard to move your car just a little bit smoothly. It's such a abrupt on or off. With this Tesla Model X, and as well as a Model 3 rear-wheel drive that I've tested before, the pedal feels much softer, much lighter, and so it's very, very easy to make those small adjustments as needed. I can drive this car smoothly very easily.
Model X, no issues. It's very soft, maybe a longer pedal travel. It's very smooth, and it's just really, really easy to drive with. My foot doesn't get tired at all, whereas with the Model Y, my foot gets tired a little bit because it's just a hard and stiff pedal. The next like about the Model X was actually the interior. There's gorgeous leather. It's nice and soft, really nice wood trim. Or you look at the Tesla Model Y, people call it a budget car, that it doesn't have anything luxurious. But the Model X, on the flip side, does feel luxurious. Not only that, but it has ventilated seats, which I always gripe about because my Model Y doesn't. To me, this refreshed Model X does indeed fit the price tag of $70,000 to $80,000. Then of course, with the bigger car comes the bigger frunk and the bigger subtrunk. Now, before going into the Model X, I didn't think it'd be that much bigger, but it's almost double the size, especially when you look at the trunk. I could probably fit 2 strollers side by side in that subtrunk. So even with all the crazy cool stuff, there are some practical benefits to the Model X. Another practical benefit is actually the third row. In my Model Y, at about 5'5", me sitting in the back, I'm right up against the glass, against that roof. But in the Model X, I actually still had probably 4 inches of headroom. And with the seat slid all the way back, I still had a tiny bit of knee room. In the Model Y, with the seats all the way back, there is no knee room, there is no leg room, there is no foot room, there is nothing. So the Model X definitely has the bigger, more spacious third row, and that does indeed make it slightly more practical actually. So I know I mentioned earlier the fact that the Falcon wing doors are kind of a dislike, but that has more to do with the fact that it won't work in my garage because of the ceiling height. The truth is, I love the doors. I think they are the strangest and coolest things ever. I mean, sitting back there and having the panel just completely lift out and being able to see above you, out and below, it's kind of like sitting in one of those suspended roller coasters where the floor drops and just all of a sudden everything opens up. It's such a cool feeling. Another one of those things where you have to try it to really understand what it's like. But then it gets even better because the front driver and front passenger doors also open and close electronically. With just a push of a button from the inside or the outside or the touchscreen, the doors are opened by themselves and closed by themselves. It's kind of like having your own butler that just comes around and opens and closes the doors for you. And you can even do all 4 at the same time from the touchscreen. To some people, it's just like, it's too much. For me, it's the perfect combination of luxury meets tech, where it's useful, but it's also really, really cool. Alright, so let's get to this big question here at the end. Will I be buying a Tesla Model X? Well, to be perfectly honest with all of you, when the Model X was a $100,000 EV, I was never really that interested. It was just too expensive. And I thought, well, it's probably just a bigger and probably fancier, maybe even better version of the Model Y. But then when the prices dropped, well, all of a sudden I became interested because, well, I have loved our 2023 Model Y, and I thought, well, if there is a bigger and better version, I would be silly not to at least try it out and see if it's worth upgrading to. And well, after 16 hours of just living with the Model X, getting to put my kids in it, getting to try it out in our garage and just kind of see what it's all about, I have to say it completely shatters my expectations. I mean, yes, it is a downgrade in some ways, like the range and the interior cabin noise, but it feels so special. It has features that most cars just don't have, and so I wish I was able to say, hey, we're getting a Model X. The problem is, I don't really need these extra features. I don't need the windshield, I don't need the Falcon wing doors, I don't need the automatic opening closing doors. I want them, I really, really want them, but I don't need them. Truthfully, our Tesla Model Y long range has everything that we need for about $25,000 less. That experience has made me appreciate my Model Y even more. And so for me, it's hard to justify spending an extra $25,000 for things that I don't need, especially when I can't get the doors to open or close in my garage. I mean, hey, if we had a big enough garage and my wife gave me the okay, I would be switching to a Model X right now. That's how much I loved it. So yeah, looks like we're sticking with our Y, and I'll be saving my money for a bigger garage down the road, so then maybe later on, I'll be able to get a Model X. Who knows? Just a quick note about Tesla's demos. I mentioned that I had the Model X for 16 hours. The typical demo is only 30 minutes long. But what happens is after you put in a reservation for a demo, someone from Tesla will email you. And through email, you can actually request an overnight demo. They'll have to get it authorized, but once it's authorized, essentially they'll ask you to pick up the car late in the evening, like around 6 p.m., right before they close, and then to bring it back the following morning around 10 a.m. when they open. And that's exactly what happened for us. We picked it up on a Friday evening around 6 p.m. and then returned the following Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And that gave us 16 hours to just enjoy and really spend time with the Model X. And the truth is, you can do that with any Tesla that they have available for demo. Just make sure you contact them and get it authorized. So if you really want to get to know one of these cars better, I highly recommend the overnight demo. Thank you, Tesla, so much for letting us do it. I had a blast. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful for those of you considering the X. Let me know in the comment section below, are you gonna get an X? Why or why not? Anyways, thanks so much for watching. As always, see you guys on the next one.